Remember where we left off last time? Allow Anime Recap Guy to take you right back. The chief battled with the enigma that is Longtail. Misun becomes a Forcer, and Hammer revealed the biggest news to Phil, that all of this crazy mess had nothing to do with aliens. All caught up? Then let's begin. While aptly taken aback with aliens not being involved, the Forcer in Phil insists that it needs to be fought irrespective of its origins. Hammer provides much needed perspective by pointing out that if the unknown code are just other people, then the Forcers are nothing more than murderers. Meanwhile, he continues to explain the strangeness about humans taking on so-called alien technology. GU enters the dorm. Elsewhere, the chief is thinking about a recent meeting of his. After having faced Longtail and sensed that he wasn't human, the chief seeks to discuss the same with the only other Forcer who has encountered him, Strider. Since turning bullets into flowers is not an ability possible for humans, the chief tries to confirm with Strider that Longtail was possibly a bot instead. Somewhat irritated at this conclusion, Strider proclaims that if Longtail was merely a bot, then as Forcers, they have no business attacking him. Dude's got a point there, right? Back at the dorm, Hammer and Phil attempt to keep their discussion from GU, since, well, if the country's youngest serial killer realized that their nanomachines can be switched off, he would possibly pick up on his killing spree. Alas, just as Hammer makes to leave, GU notices the remote in his hand. There goes any attempt of keeping a secret. Desperate to keep GU away from any information he has stumbled upon, Hammer threatens GU by reminding him about their meeting and how the nanomachines can kill him at Hammer's word. Honestly, GU being wary of Hammer is my new favorite thing. Oh, the evil genius. Meanwhile, Mr. is reporting to his boss at the fortress about Longtail being a new type of human form unknown code. He sincerely asks if there was anything about the dealings of the fortress that he doesn't know. He explains that his daughter is a Forcer too, and hence he would like to know in advance if there was any danger unknown to him that she could be facing. Wait, what? Mr. has a daughter who is a Forcer? Oh, place your bets about who this could be, people. Later, Succubus informs Mr. that the incidences of the unknown code targeting players has been on the rise. Seeing that the forces that they have at the moment are all beginners, and the chief is still recovering after his battle with Longtail, Mr. suggests that Succubus asks Strider to be on board to provide support. Unwilling to encounter an A-level code, Strider asks Succubus to get his apprentice instead. He expresses worry, though, about the possibility that Mr. will not appreciate his daughter being sent to fight. So, Strider's student, Amber, the girl who showed off her cool moves to GU, she is Mr.'s daughter. After Strider's denial to fight the A-level code, Mr. reluctantly reports to his boss that a team comprising of Phil, GU, Agni, Akasha, Blitz, and Amber will band together. Anyone getting an Avengers vibe here? No, just me. The group is informed about their team mission, with a subsidiary server of the game, Sudden Watch, being attacked by the unknown code. Apparently, since the server is too big to go ahead with the usual steps of logging in through the USB port, this ragtag team is supposed to infiltrate the server on their own without any Fortress support, which also means that Phil's high BTP is almost useless, as he cannot craft weapons as he usually does. Hammer explains that they can fight and defend themselves using just gaming cards, and will be allowed only one weapon of their choice. Whoa, difficult times ahead. At the training center a while later, Strider finds Phil working hard. His only advice to Phil is to never let his guard down in this battle for survival, as that will define his strength. As the team settles into their link chairs and enters the virtual battle space, Strider asks Bogung to meditate and get his sync rate battle ready. Seeing Bogung's shocked reaction, Strider informs him that this battle will require reserves to take the place of the ones that don't make it through. Now, does anyone else wonder why the elders always send a bunch of school children to tackle an issue in every story? Anyway, once Succubus recognizes the unknown code in the battle space as the bullseye sniper, she gets Hammer to work out 4 extra cards that the team can use. Promptly designing Shield, Sensor, High Jump, and Buster, Hammer informs the Forcers to use these new cards in addition to the 6 they chose beforehand. Saying so, he terminates the connection, leaving them to fend for themselves. With only the intention of survival in his mind, Blitz finds a bathroom stall to hide in, but little did he know that the bullseye wasn't the only monster in this battle space. About to use one of his cards on the newcomer, Blitz's position is given away by Amber, wondering where Agni and Blitz have disappeared. Falling out of the building following an explosion, courtesy of the second unknown code, Blitz is targeted by the sniper located on another building. Right then, Agni finds the sniper and narrowly misses his attack by engaging his shield card. He alerts the others about the existence of multiple unknown codes in this space and also informs them that Blitz is facing one on his own. Amber quickly hatches a plan to get the sniper's location by creating a decoy clone of herself. This way, when the decoy is attacked, the sniper's location will be revealed. Sounds great, but is it going to be that easy? Facing death in the form of the second unknown code, Blitz is overcome with a feeling to continue living, just as his head is smashed in. At the fortress, Strider orders a shocked and overwhelmed Bogung to quickly replace Blitz. In the battle space, Agni sees Blitz and desperately tries to get revenge by causing an explosion and temporarily distracts the monster to place a strong kick in his face. Unfortunately, the monster's neck elongates and punches him back. Next, the end of the neck transforms into an arrow and pins Agni down as well. What now? Meanwhile, Amber's decoy is attacked exactly as expected, and Amber gets to work with her plan to attack the sniper. Bogun gets to Agni's rescue, much to the surprise of the arrow-headed monster. Packing in a powerful punch with the help of his card, he manages to fling the monster away. Even as he helps Agni up, the massive fist of the monster's elongated arm reaches them, only for Phil to hack it off just in time. Whew! Seeing the monster's crazy regeneration skills, Phil realizes he has to come up with a plan quickly. Using his Buster card, he effortlessly slices the monster in two, further proving himself the Grand Master. At the fortress, Glassboy attempts to strike a deal with Strider to help his friends overcome this mess. Strider tries to get out of the deal by asking Glassboy to go save his friends, despite his incapability, if he was so concerned. Before Glassboy could reply, the chief gets there and asks to speak to Strider. There is something fishy with this guy. He said earlier that all his wins were just his luck, but how could he be the best forcer if he has no skills and is such a coward? Back in the battle space, Amber gets to GU after having destroyed the bullseye sniper with her blast knuckles. While relieved, GU also voices his concern that things were too easy to tackle and that there had to be something more. Elsewhere in the battle space, Akasha comes across a stress ball taken over by the code, which takes the form of her clone and mocks her looks. In a horrible move, Code Akasha slashes her own neck, which has a mirror effect with Akasha's neck getting slashed as well. Oh goodness, that was sick. We have already lost 2 of our Avengers. The chief speaks to Strider and demands to know what he was hiding. With minor injuries that aren't a threat to his life, he was still asked to stay out of this operation, which seems not to sit well with him at all. Yeah, well, when there are capable adults to take on the risk, a group of kids who have just begun their training are dying out there. Someone had to ask the right questions here, but Strider simply replies that things are soon going to escalate to being a war zone. Ominous much, Strider? When GU and Amber go looking for Akasha, the code clones itself as GU. Code GU issues the same warning as Code Akasha and states that if anyone attacks it, they would indeed be attacking themselves. To Amber's shock, GU bursts into laughter upon hearing this warning. Having figured out that the code cannot be alive while Akasha is gone, GU quickly slashes the neck of Code GU, who collapses, just like GU had thought it would. Meanwhile, Strider reveals to the chief that their enemy is indeed nobody other than themselves. He goes on to explain how Hammer confided in him about this theory that the unknown codes aren't actually alien, but just artificial intelligence created by humans. Finding Hammer's thoughts hard to ignore, the chief is intrigued to know more. Strider tells the chief about the rest of the conversation he had with Hammer, where he asked him why nobody at the fortress was able to recognize the AI. Pay attention to this one, people. Hammer insisted that only he could recognize the signature of the unknown codes because they were written by him. While GU and Phil discuss how everything seems strange and different in this battle space as compared to their earlier experiences, they spot another coming their way. Phil is shocked to see that this one is the same as Hammer's avatar in Ticket of Fantasy. Meanwhile, Strider tells the chief that he had already destroyed the real A-level code in the server and that what their students were facing was only a dummy for the purpose of training them for the upcoming war. Training that involves death? Way too immersive for me, honestly. In the year 2065, an old hammer is desperate to find a way to save planet Earth. Excessive pollution has caused 1/4 of the population to have cancer and has rendered the environment so toxic that one cannot survive without a gas mask. Human race is on its way to extinction when Hammer finally manages to send a 1 kilobyte file of data into the past. To be able to send an SOS, he hacks into a satellite to carry information to his past self. The Hammer of the present that we know realizes that humans, stop that, is actually a message that his future self sent to warn everyone about the implications of not changing their way of life. The AI on the hacked satellite interferes with the transmission of this SOS, and as a result is split into two opposing thoughts, one that adheres to the designer's ideals, and another that acts rationally. Wait up, so the friend that Longtail promised has to be future Hammer, which would mean that Longtail adheres to Hammer's ideals of attempting to save the human race, while the rational AI wants to bring about the extinction of the human beings in order to save the planet? Whoa! It so happened that Longtail somehow managed to save the human race on Doomsday with just a second left on the clock, which is why the rational AI has now pegged him as the enemy. Things just elevated with all this time travel and AI business, didn't it? Segregate and recycle your trash, people. We absolutely do not want AI to be the reason for our extinction. Meanwhile, in the battle space, Hammer's avatar appreciates the good show of defense. When Phil and GU wake up in the hospital wing later, Phil demands to know everything that Hammer knows. A while later, Succubus walks in on Phil, almost attacking Hammer. Upon hearing the truth of his future self and the impending doom on the human race, still in shock after hearing everything from Hammer, she is so frustrated that nobody told her any of this before. She asks Hammer what evidence he presented to Strider that he immediately believed Hammer's theory. To this, mysterious Hammer replies that it was fate. I get that Longtail is the key to Hammer's knowing the truth, but what is this fate that got Strider on board? Meanwhile, the Code attempts to get GU on its side of the war by assuring the safety of his life. Code-immune GU counters that in a world without humans, there would be nothing for him to kill, and hence rejects the Code's proposition. Promising to get back to him with a better proposition, the Code zaps GU awake through the monitor by his bed in the hospital. Later, Mr. receives an order to gather all the forces within the country to tackle the AI, as a result of which teams from multiple fortress districts, including the Seoul district, are assembled. And guess what? Blitz and Akasha aren't really dead. Seems like the training was truly a test to check abilities. These two really need to up their game and not die for real. There is a fearful vibe amongst the team when Strider announces that not everyone can be expected to return from this war. GU is the only one not voicing his doubts and fears, and it is him that gets everyone to stop talking and provides some perspective. He says that this is the only opportunity the members of this team are getting to save the entire world. Now, true, now when else were a group of gamers going to do anything of such a scale, right? Convinced that survival will directly imply strength, everyone stops bickering and unites. Ida, a professor class forcer, finds her way into the AI of the hacked satellite, but is quickly mapped as an intruder by the rational AI. With a cautious Hammer providing support, she decides to investigate further into the server and comes upon a sketchbook. Seeing the sketchbook, she is compelled to break her sync connection with Hammer and the rest of the team, only for the Code to speak to her in the form of her younger self. This Code Ida tries to manipulate Ida's thinking about whether anyone who encountered the Code was ever worth saving. Oh, please, let's not have a troubled past get in the way of saving the entire human race. In retaliation to Ida's intrusion, the rational AI of the satellite activates every nuclear missile in the world and challenges the world population to do whatever they can to stop certain doom within the next hour. Meanwhile, Strider uploads Ida's last known location so that everyone can meet there. This alerts the AI to the arrival of more intruders in the form of Phil, Jiyu, and Bogang. Phil is already on alert about whether this Jiyu with him is the real Jiyu. Guess we are about to find out. Phil continues to ask Jiyu questions about why he thinks the AI has decided that the extinction of the human race is the solution for all of this mess, considering that the majority of the human population cannot be tagged as sinners. Countering this, Jiyu proclaims that every person that the code encounters was either a bully or a criminal or had something to hide. Hence, no matter how innocent a human comes across as, everyone has their sins. Phil realizes that this kind of robotic answer has to mean that this wasn't really Jiyu at all, which leads him to conclude that maneuvering around technology by providing logical arguments could lead the AI to reach a solution other than human extinction. Elsewhere in the satellite's AI, Amber meets Jiyu. He addresses her as Rosie, which proves that this was the real Jiyu, much to Amber's relief. Back at the fortress, forces from the American branch declare that they would be running the show instead. They announce their plan to shoot down the satellite if there wasn't much of a progress in the next 30 minutes. Getting Mr. and Hammer away from the control room, the American forcer leaves just Succubus to figure out a way out of this chaos. That is the rational AI of the hacked satellite. It seems to me like Difficult just got an upgrade. Meanwhile, with the whole team gathered at Ida's last known location, Strider wonders where Phil, Jiyu, and Amber were. Just then, a flaming door with a skull grabs everyone's attention. Strider realizes that the fire is restricted to just the door and tries to find a common link with Ida's mind. He theorizes that the guilt she felt about having destroyed her own home has never left her, and hence the unknown code could manipulate her mind into being on the opposing side, despite being a human herself. Blasting open the door, the team finds a massive code Ida. We now finally get to see Strider do what he supposedly does best. Timely crafting and dividing BTP with another team member, Strider easily overpowers Code Ida, much to the astonishment of everyone else, who is now convinced that Strider's high-level Forcer position is indeed well-deserved. Amber and the real GU, meanwhile, get locked out of the satellite's AI and even lose contact with the rest of the team. What are these two even going to do now? On the other hand, Code GU realizes that the central base has been found by intruders, causing him to wonder how that was possible. As he takes off on a sprint to find out more, Phil is left stunned at this development. But don't let that fool you into thinking that at least Amber has the real GU with her, so she'll be safe, because she isn't. Remember the AI was going to return with a better proposition for GU just so he joins the opposite side? Well, that happened, and GU has turned against Amber. So apparently, the new and improved proposition that was successful in switching GU over was the AI's offer to digitize GU's brain, let him live forever, and provide him with a hunting ground of his own. Well, that's definitely interesting for a serial killer like GU. Wondering what GU will do next? Well then, join me for the last and most important part of this story in the next video. See ya!